Okay, warm welcome to Flight Sim and other stuff. And oh, I really hope the audio's working. Looking at that, that says it's working, that says it's working, that says it's working. So it is the live stream, and we're looking at, once again, the X-Touch and some really big news. So, as you know, those that have been following the channel, we've been doing a live, we've been doing a set of upcoming, I'm not live, I don't seem to be live, my broadcasting. There could be a delay. How do I know if I'm live or not? We've been doing a set of... Yes, he is live. Okay, so I've been doing a set of tutorials on using the X-Touch Mini with Access and Ohs and Thomas's, aka Funatic, his gauges, and it's going quite well. Well, I think it's going quite well. I'm having lots of fun doing it. But Thomas has come up with an idea to make it even easier, and that is using a virtual joystick. So tonight I'm going to go through setting it up, and this is the first time I've ever done it. This is really, really alpha version, so you know, not everything's working yet. We don't have the code in for the rotaries, only the push buttons. And again, I'm not talking about lights this week. I will be talking about lights later on in the week, but that really does require writing a little bit of code. So let's jump down into the flight sim, and I've picked an aircraft that I've never flown before. It's the Asobo Cub. Take a look outside. Yep, there it is. Never flown it before. And I'm at Duxford, which is the Imperial War Museum in the UK, and some free scenery. But I'm going to program up some real basic buttons on that. But there is, before we get, let's go back to the cockpit. Before we get into the easy stuff, there is a little bit of configuration to do in Access and Ohs. So let's do that. Like I said, this is completely off the cuff. I've had no chance to practice this at all. So if it goes disastrously wrong, we might have to revisit it. But let's see how we go. So first of all, in Access and Ohs, so let me just turn my web gauges up for a minute. So we're going to go to scripting and the script editor, and the first thing I want to do is create a script group for the Cub. So we'll call it, let's just call it Cub. Add. Close that, and then we'll take the default X-Touch. I want the per aircraft template, and I'm just going to remove that. That's good. And we're going to take the 3 X's out and call it Cub. It's easy as that. I'm going to leave it as a single layer, so we'll just have one in there. Very simple. Let's just go through this. So I'm going to put that into the Cub folder I just made, and we'll save as new. So we've done that. And I can close the script editor. Templates. Apply a template to this aircraft. It's the X-Touch template. That's done. And finally, automated scripts. The Cub. Drop down. and the script I want is the X-Touch Auto, and we'll make that a one-shot update. I still got my fly-by-wire. This is a hangover from something I did earlier, so I'll remove that. Close. So that's done, and all those buttons should now be working, I hope. Yep, as I press the buttons on the X-Touch down here, you can see the lights lasting. That's the hardest thing you have to do. So now we can go onto the internet, and I will put a link to this in the show notes below. And here is the X-Touch Guage Builder version 0.4. Like I said, this is still work in progress at the moment. This simple stuff I'm going to do will only work on the push buttons, and it relies on something called VJoy, which is a virtual joystick, and you're going to have to download that. So where is it? VJoy. Search for it. I will put links to this in the show notes later on. VJoy. And good. VJoy download from SourceForge. Download this, run the installer, and you will get a number of applications. I'll just take the simulator down for a minute and get rid of that. So if I look in here and type in VJoy, the first one you want to go to is configure VJoy, and allow. So I've already set mine up, and I have 2 virtual joysticks set up. For this exercise, you'll stay with the one that's there, and you can configure the number of joystick buttons. You can have up to 128 joystick buttons, and you can have up to 16 joysticks. We can create a joystick button for just about everything in Microsoft. I mean, that's an awful lot of buttons, isn't it? So, this defaults to, I think, 32. For this exercise, you can stay with that, or take it up as I have to 128. That's your virtual joystick, and then you just make sure you've ticked enable VJoy. There is also a demonstration program where you can test it. So if I go to VJoy, and there's a program called VJoy Feeder, and this is an on-screen interface that allows you to press the joystick buttons. So if we go back into the simulator now, there we go, and bring that up so we can, let's just move that to one side a little bit. So in the simulator, if I go to control options, after a short pause, and move this over a little bit, I'm going to have to make that a bit smaller so we can see it. So because I've got 2 virtual joysticks, VJoys, they are both listed there, and I can search for an input, and if I press any of these buttons, select an input. Which one's which? Search. Alright. This, it doesn't label it VJoy 2 and VJoy 1. They're all called VJoy, so it's a case that I'm afraid of suck it and see to see which one it is. So that is VJoy 2. So you can see here, target is Vice VJoy 2. I've got 32 buttons programmed on that, and I was just testing it by going into the controller here and testing those. So let's clear that and let's escape that. For some reason I've messed up. So I've broken it. That's interesting. Where? Oh, excuse me. Where is? Why have I crashed that out? VJoy. Not that one. So yeah, I seem to have broken it somehow, and I don't know what I've done. I'm probably going to have to kill the simulator. VJoy feeder. So it's not, I think I know 3. Just it 2. I've still got the button pressed. I think this is not seeing the fact that I've released the button. Yes. That makes a lot of sense. So the reason I broke it, I hadn't broken it really, but if I was searching a button input here, and if I press button 1, search for input scan, 8. I pressed the button once. It's hard to see there, but it actually shows you in this graphic that the button's pressed. I haven't released it yet. I need to press it a second time in the feeder to release the button. And because I'd pressed 1, 2 and 3, but I'd only pressed the button once, it hadn't released it. So when I'm testing these virtual joystick buttons, when I press the button once, it's being depressed, and when I press it a second time, it's released it. And that's why I couldn't clear out of it. Anyway, I'm not going to use this feeder program to configure it. I'm going to do everything with my X-Touch. Oh, excuse me. Right. So we'll come out of that for a minute. And we'll resume, and now we'll go back to the website. And we'll go to here. And we're going to create a new layout for the cub. And we're going to do some basic buttons. So looking at the cub, if I go to the flight sim, I'm just going to program up these here. So we got the battery, alternator, fuel switch pump, avionics master, etc. So we're going to try and program all of those up now. Starting off with battery. So VJoy, create a new mapping. So we're going to go to button number 1 and we'll call this battery. And we drag this onto here. And you'll see it's actually put joystick, virtual joystick number 1, button 1 in both the key down and key up. Because remember, That's what screwed me up earlier. I didn't release the button. So commit changes. That's the battery. Open this up. And now you see I've actually got a battery button here. So in future, I can just drag and drop this button into other locations. Now the one thing you mustn't do, this is really important, you mustn't change the name here, or drastically change the name here. In a minute I'm going to go into Microsoft Flight Simulator and I'm going to start programming it up using the joystick interface inside Microsoft Simulator. If I then come into here and change this to be, say, I don't know, undercarriage, the function inside Microsoft is still going to be the battery. So you don't want to change this to something silly. So label it here and then let's use these buttons when we program up Microsoft. Please, please follow that. So battery, the next one along will be alternator. So again, we're going to call this, was it alternator? Let's get back into the aircraft. Yeah, alternator and fuel pump. So we'll go in there, whoops, in there. Let's label it first. And drag that onto there. Drag it onto there. And commit changes. And the next one is fuel pump. VJoy. Into there. Save. Commit changes. Where else can we go? Avionics master. So back to my page. Master. VJoy. Drag that down. Commit. And we can work our way along. I don't want to go on forever with this. Up here, a couple of new additions. The file name. Well, remember I called this the cub. And this is layer number 0. Now I can download the layer file. Download. Save as. And this needs to go into my documents inside novice and Access and Ohs. I believe a Control V here should take you to the right location. Let's see what happens. Control V. No, it doesn't, because I've put something else in there. My clipboard was already used. Save as. Xcub 0 text is in there. I don't know why my copy and paste didn't work, but we'll have a look at that at some stage. Supposedly you should just do a Control V. Novice Access and Ohs, scripts, X-Touch Gauges. Whoa, I don't want to call it that. Access and Ohs, scripts, X-Touch Gauge, Cub 0, save. That's it. Couple of things though. If I come out of this page, next time I go into the page, it won't know which virtual joysticks I've used, and it's going to start again from number 1. So the drag and drop is going to be completely broken. So you can save a local file. Whoops, cancel that. And we're going to download the settings. So download, save as, and I'm going to put this in my documents. It doesn't matter where you put it. It's the settings file. Save. Already exists, replace it. Yeah. Because I'll show you what happens if I come out of this and go back to do some more work. And I'm going to import the layer file. So we were working on Control V and Xcub. There's my Xcub, but because I haven't imported the settings, when we go to VJoy, and I drag a new one over to here. Whoops, let's open the button. This will probably be broken. No, that worked. I didn't import the layer settings. Discard. Close that. Let's try it in a different browser. Ah, I know, right? Drop C. Because Microsoft's Edge does a lot of caching, I bet. Control V. If I do it in a different browser. No VJoy mappings there. Import the layer file. Control V in the search bar and press enter, and then I can go to the cub. There's the cub. If I go to VJoy, there are all the things, but if I create a new mapping, yeah, it's picked up number 5. So that's very clever. We'll have to come back to you on that one. Like I said, I've only been playing with this for a couple of minutes, so to think about what the settings and the downloads are. Anyway, my gauge is set up. Let's go to Access and Ohs and put the gauge on the screen so you can see it. And it isn't working. I know why it's not working. Because as usual, when you've changed, you need to disconnect and reconnect. And there we go. So I've created the gauge. All the labels are there. Now I've just got to assign the labeled buttons to the right feature, and all this is done in Microsoft. So escape, control options. We want this VJoy because it's VJoy number 1. And we want battery. Search by name. BAT. Toggle master battery. There it is. Click it. And now I just have to press the button on my X-Touch. And if I click start scanning and press the battery button, it didn't work. Have I got the wrong VJoy? May have. Cancel. Pass the battery. Start scanning. Wow. It was going so well, I've forgotten something. What did I break? Cancel. That is the VJoy. It is VJoy 1. I can test it from the feeder. Let's make sure the feeder's working. VJoy feeder. So toggle master battery. Start scanning. VJoy feeder button 1. You're trying to assign an action to a device that is not selected because it's not the VJoy device. This one, it's this one. Cancel. I was in the right device there. That is VJoy 1. Feeder. Master battery. Start scanning. Press button 1 and release. Validate. So that is button 1, but my X-Touch is not giving button 1. So the only thing I can assume is Access and Ohs, scripting, aircraft automated scripts, we got that, one shot, add, update, close, tools, save database now. Button 9, am I pressing button 9? Yeah, that's going down. Asbo NX Cup. Let's just check. I called it the right thing. Cup. Oh, that must be right, of course, because it loaded up the right gauge. It loaded up the right gauge, but I'm not working. Client save. If I press VJoy 1 on here, that's working. But it didn't work on my gauge. Well, this is what happens when you're live. And the good news is, I don't think anyone's watching. Let's docs. Okay, so yeah, that's an interesting one. That definitely worked earlier, and I've obviously missed something out. So I did say this was alpha, and I did say I hadn't had a chance to use it. So we'll get that sorted, and I'll do another quick update video shortly. For now, it's the new update, isn't it? And I've got to say, ooh, this update is working great for me in VR. SU10 with the new settings, and for those that haven't seen it, if you have an NVIDIA graphics card, select in here NVIDIA DLSS. You also have to do it, and I forgot to do this, I forgot to do this inside VR, and I couldn't work out why VR wasn't running so much better. This is running really well now. Anyway, that wasn't as successful as I was hoping it was going to be. I thought I was really going to enchant you with something absolutely stunning and amazing. I will find out what I did wrong. I will put my hand up and say you're an idiot and come back to you. Watch out for the next video. I'm going to leave this one up. I'm not going to delete it, just to show that things aren't always perfect first time. And these are the sort of problems that you'll get out there. I've had no problems doing it with the events. And the events, you know, coding these buttons is my preferred way of doing things, because I've actually understand how to do it now. But I get from the new user that you can't see what I'm looking at, can you? I get from the main user that programming these buttons with code, even using the web interface, is sometimes a little bit daunting. And absolutely, I get trying to find these functions and what these functions mean. But as I showed you last week, we've got all the functions here as drag and drop. So here's a good exercise. Let's try this out. Let's try editing this one. And so let's import a layer file. Let's import that C1520, and I'm going to change. Oh, I don't know where they came from. Oh, that's the 152. Didn't want that one. Import layer is the cub. Yeah, that's better. So let's change this battery one with an event battery. Search. Battery toggle. Put that in there. Get rid of that one. Delete. Commit changes. Alternator. Get rid of that one. And search for alternator. Alternator toggle. Master battery. Toggle master alternator. Save. Did I save that one? I bet it didn't. Yes, I did. Fuel pumps. Fuel pump toggle. Get rid of that. Delete. Commit. Avionics master. Avionics master toggle. Put that in there. Get rid of that. Commit changes. Download layer. Save as X-Touch Cub. Replace it. Yes. Back into here. Reset novice access and Ohs. So it reloads the gauge. Now let's try pressing the button. See, first time.